Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's review, we are taking a look at the second disc in Simon Lizotte's personal line with Axiom discs. That's right, we're taking a look at his putter, the Pixel. Looking at the flight numbers, you would assume the Pixel is going to be a very neutral flying putter. Speed 2, glide 4, turn 0, and a fade of 0.5. In the flight segment, we'll see if that holds up. But before diving into the flight, let's take a look at the profile and the feel. Now, Simon mentioned that these are not extremely deep putters, and that's true. They're not extremely deep, but I wouldn't necessarily call them shallow either. They do have a high shoulder to them, but also a flat flight plate. So even though they do have that high shoulder, they are still flat on the flight plate, so it gives it kind of an illusion of being not too overly deep, but again, not shallow either. And in this new Electron plastic, these soft ones are pretty soft. Not the softest feeling baseline plastic out there, but still has a good amount of give, great tackiness to it. I have no issues with pinching the flight plate between my pointer finger and thumb. Versus the firm, definitely stiffer than the soft, but it's not the stiffest out there. It's probably between most other companies' medium to hard. But just like the soft, the firm has an amazing amount of tackiness, leading to exceptional grip. Definitely something I can trust on those really wet days. Alright, let's go and dive into the all-important flight. And I mentioned earlier that by the flight numbers, you would assume that the Pixel is going to be a very neutral flying putter. And I'm happy to report that is exactly what the Pixel is. If you throw it on a slight hyzer, it's going to hold that arcing hyzer. When you throw it, say, flat, it's going to ride out very straight for almost the entirety of its flight before just at the very end, it's going to just have a little baby hyzer finish. As you can see, it almost wants to come straight down, and then just at the very last 5-10% of its flight, it has a very baby amount of hyzer. And then once you do start putting this on an anhyzer line, it is going to hold. It's not going to deviate off that line, which makes the Pixel a very point and shoot putter. If it's a calm to low wind, the Pixel is just going to be the perfect point and shoot putter. If you need to throw down a tunnel, if you need to throw it on an anhyzer line and hold, if you need to throw it on a slight hyzer and just get it to just hold that arcing hyzer to the ground, that is what the Pixel is going to do. But what I love is that you don't have to be a big arm in order to get it to hold straight. I can throw this 50% power or 75% power, and it is almost going to fly exactly the same. So no matter your skill level, everyone is going to be able to find a use for the Pixel. And since I would consider it a semi-deep putter, it actually gets a lot of air under it, and so it is very floaty, gets a lot of glide to it, but that also means you do need a lot of space to let the Pixel work. Okay, we've seen the Pixel in a wide open field, but how about on a course? Well, for this first hole, you have a tree right off on the right-hand side, blocking the right gap, and then you have a late tree on the left, so you need something that's just going to hold a very baby hyzer. What did I say the Pixel does very well if you throw it on that slight hyzer? Exactly that. Doesn't flip up to flat and then ride straight into that far tree. It just holds that arcing hyzer all the way to the basket. This next hole is pretty open. You do have that one tree on the left and a few trees right in front of the basket protecting it. You do have a straight gap and also a gap to the right-hand side to a landing area about 10 feet to the right of the basket. But I opt for the smallest third gap, which it doesn't matter because the Pixel is just so straight. This next hole is short but very intimidating as there is just trees everywhere between you and the basket and a lot of small gaps you need to hit. I'm looking at this straight gap on just a baby anhyzer flex and throwing it up high, knowing that just as it slows down, the Pixel is going to try to fight out and just have a nice gentle finish. Now, say you find yourself out of position and you want to set yourself up with a good look at the basket on your next shot, and you have to throw a turnover. As long as you commit to that turnover line, the Pixel, being as neutral as it is just going to hold that, and you don't have to worry about it fighting out too early. So how does the Pixel handle the wind? Well, this is a 15-20 mile an hour headwind on a slight hyzer, and you can see the Pixel gets a ton of drift. So I would not recommend it in the headwind unless you're anticipating that drift and can take advantage of it. Alright, so we've seen what the Pixel can do as a thrower, but how about putting? Well, just like throwing, as a putter, the Pixel is one word: straight. It really doesn't matter if you're inside the circle or outside the circle with a jump putt. Wherever you release the Pixel, that is exactly where it's going to go. Even with those longer putts, it has almost no fade, and because it has good glide, you can hit putts from a distance with minimal effort. So when it comes to different plastic types, at this time, it only comes in just the new Electron plastic, but it has 3 variations: soft, regular, and firm. And besides the stiffness, at least between the soft and the firm, I really did not notice any other differences. Even in the Electron firm, it holds the hyzer line very well and also very straight when thrown flat. Now, I guess maybe you can say just at the very end of the flight it has maybe just a smidge more of a hyzer, but if there is a difference in flight, it's hardly noticeable. So with the Lefty Lines, I am taking the Pixel against several other neutral flying putters from a few different manufacturers. You can see Pixel, very, very straight, even when thrown on just the slightest of hyzer lines, has that elevator drop and then just baby hyzer at the end. Versus, say, the Discraft Roach. The Roach is very straight, but you have to throw it hard in order to get it to keep that straight flight and then just very minimal finish. The Pier from Latitude 64 is very reminiscent of the Pixel. It's something, again, you don't have to throw it extremely hard to get the flight. So if you're throwing it 50% power, 75% power, you're gonna get that same flight. And the last disc that I wanted to try the Pixel against was the inner core from Trash Panda, just because I liked the inner core so much when I threw it in 2023. Overall, Roach is probably the most overstable, or at least I should say the most torque resistant of the bunch. You really have to throw it hard to get it to hold very straight with minimal fade. Pier best matches the Pixel in terms of flight, but I do think the Pier is maybe just a little bit faster, and the inner core is kind of between the Roach and the Pier. It can hold incredibly straight lines, and it can also take a little bit more torque than, say, either the Pixel or the Pier. Overall, I can see why Simon is so excited for the Pixel. It's just a do-everything putter, so neutral that you can manipulate it in so many different ways. And also, he likes glidey putters, and this thing is incredibly glidey. So again, I can understand why he likes it. I love it for throwing, not as much for putting just because of how deep it is, but as a thrower, I absolutely love it. Now, if you want to get your hands on a Pixel, be sure, go to GreatLakesDisc.com, use that promo code LEFTY at checkout, save yourself 10%. Thank you, everyone. Till the next one, keep banging change.